Shelley Marie, and I've been experimenting with using alcohol inks on my fantasy painted vinyl dolls, and I've had quite a bit of great success with it. What attracted me at the beginning for using the inks is the vivid and brilliant colors these inks provide and the blending effects that can be achieved. So one might ask, what exactly are alcohol inks? Well, basically they're acid-free. They're a transparent dye ink. It's not a pigment, it is a dye, and it's in an alcohol-based medium. And that's important to know because that alcohol-based medium can create difficulties when using it with other mediums. For instance, alcohol breaks down the binders in acrylic-based mediums or paints, and this can cause paint to lift or not cure, creating a kind of a sticky, gummy surface on there, so you have to watch that. The other interesting fact is once dry, the alcohol inks are actually waterproof. Now, I've been using Ranger alcohol inks, and it's a reputable brand of alcohol inks, and the company has been working greatly to improve their light fastness, and in many of their colors. So with the addition of a few coats of UV varnish protectant on top, any kind of a fading should not be a problem as it was years ago. So let's get started on my demonstration here on how I use the alcohol inks on the vinyl. So you need to give your vinyl a good scrub with a soap and some baking soda to get that oil residue off. So now you're ready to apply some inks. The first thing I did discover when I was experimenting is if you applied these inks right onto the vinyl, they actually absorb and fade away into the vinyl, and it doesn't give you those brilliant colors. So I ended up trying to find something that was adaptable to prevent this from happening, and I came across a primer that took the alcohol-based inks and it made that surface I was looking for without going gummy or sticky. Now through this demo you're going to see me using an alcohol ink applicator which you can purchase, but if you wish not to, here's a very simple way you can make yourself an applicator for the inks simply by taking a piece of felt, cutting it to a reasonable shape or size, and then you're going to wrap it around just a piece of styrofoam that I cut out of a cookie sheet or a styrofoam plate, and then I just put a paper clip on there and make sure it's tight so your styrofoam doesn't slip out the end, and it will work for you as well. So I'm going to take a acrylic 1-inch or 2-inch flat brush here, and I'm going to dip it into the primer, and then you're going to notice that as I'm working away at the shell part here, that it is a medium that's very streaky, shall we say. But I'm going to use that to my advantage on this shell. I'm going to be actually controlling those streaks by simply making my brush follow the line that's already on the shells there, and that will enhance those little streaks or markings to make the shell become a little bit more realistic. So I'm not worried about the brush strokes because I'm putting those strokes where I want them. Now if you didn't want strokes on the vinyl, you can apply with a sponge, and you'll need to do about two applications at least on it with a sponge in order to get rid of any markings that result from this primer. But I'll have to tell you that finding this primer was really hard to do because many primers had an alcohol base or an acrylic base to it, and it made the primers go quite sticky on me. So I had to do quite a bit of research to find this primer that works with the alcohol inks on the vinyl. So basically you're just watching me here applying, getting into the crevices as usual. It dries quite quickly, so you don't want to play too much with it or you'll start removing it as it tacks up and cures. Once this is all done, I will then let it sit for about at least 24 hours. I want it to cure because I don't want any reaction from the alcohol inks going on there. And if it's not cured properly, then you will have the alcohol inks will start removing that primer on you, and that you don't want that to happen. So I'm just being a little bit picky on my details here. You'll see me just doing some blends with the strokes of the brush. Okay, so now once my primer has cured for the 24 hours, I'm going to apply the inks. Now here's the ink applicator that I have been using, and it has a little bit of a tooth surface that you put the felt pads on, and then I have a solution called an alcohol blending solution, which helps the alcohol inks set. It has a bit of binder in them, as well as it helps them to blend as I apply this onto the vinyl. So the color here I'm using is just an aqua, or I've used a turquoise, so you've got a choice. Both are very good pigments. And then the second color I have here is called Dandelion. Again, they're in the Ranger brand alcohol inks. So you'll see me just dabbing some colors here and there. There is no rhyme or reason, really. It's kind of decide what you want and see how it goes blending. As you get more experienced, you'll probably get some set patterns you'll try out. And that I'm putting on with it is a pearl. The pearl will bring out a pearl shine to the colors, and then I just put a little bit more of that turquoise back in on top of some of the pearl. So, and a bit more blending solution because I want it to blend and not look like it's little dots. You'll see me putting some on there, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to tap it a few times onto the paper because I want it to blend a little bit on the felt piece before I apply it onto the vinyl. So you'll see me doing a little bit of a rub and a pat there, and you'll see how nicely it blends on there. Now it's ready to be applied. So basically I'm just stamping on. At first you'll just get some dots here and there, but as you stamp over top, as you go, you'll see it will all start blending in. And you can see that wonderful pearl shine actually coming through already. It looks wet, but it's really dries quite quickly, so it does reactivate itself though as you get going. So it may be dry to the touch, but if you want to do any fixes on it, it's easy to do just by reapplying more of the alcohol ink on top, and it will react with each other and blend better. So you'll see me doing this several times until I get the effect that I am looking for here. So my first blending is done here, and you'll see that the applicator really doesn't get into any of the creases in there. So I'm now going to take my alcohol ink and I'm going to apply it with a brush. The thing you have to remember is you're not wanting any water in that brush. It has to be dipped into some of the alcohol blender and then into the ink itself. You can also use some of the alcohol, what we call rubbing alcohol. I guess it's also called isopropyl alcohol, 99%, and it can work just as well as the blender. It just doesn't have the binders in it, but it does work well for helping blend in different areas. So you see me working there, just getting the shadows in there with the turquoise color, and I'll work away at that. So now I've decided I wanted to add a little bit of a coral color here. So I'm going to put a little dot there with my alcohol ink and a little bit of blender in there to help me blend into the other colors. And I think that was a little bit of pearl I put in there. Yes, it was. Sorry about that. So with the pearl, I'm going to put that coral color where I want it with a brush. So you can actually paint with these. And dabbing will lighten it up. And you'll see me going in there where I want some coral look or some pink look in there. You can see the brilliance of those colors popping up quite well. Looks almost like a real shell, and that's what I love about these colors here. So here we are at the end, and that's the result of the shell from using the alcohol inks. Now you may ask, why did I prime the rest of him? And the answer is I want my other acrylic paints that I'm going to use on the rest of him to actually have a vibrant color as well. And I find that primer actually pops those colors. So that's why it's primed. Now the end result here, you'll notice that I have some black shadowing I put on with the acrylic paint. I did that after I sealed the alcohol inks and left it for about 24 hours. When completely finished, I applied 2 coats of the golden UV protectant varnish on top. That helps it from fading. So hope you enjoyed this video and find it useful. Thank you.